Hello, hello, and welcome to the show because you are now tuned into a brand spanking new Monday Night Live. That's right, aka the Hangout stream, aka the Chill stream, baby. All fired up and having some fun for November 21, 2022, and brought to you by yours truly, the man broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com or simply Google this name and you can find out. So, let me brief you on what's going on, what's in store for this show tonight. I will be reading a writer's contribution that's published on a platform that I'm unfamiliar with, but may be interesting to note. I also have what could be some contentious news in regard to one of our hot topic discussions. Of course, I will be addressing your comments. And last but not least, I will be finishing tonight's live stream with a little show and tell, if you will. I had mentioned that previously on a previous stream that I was interested in starting to feature a little bit more like different art forms. So how I can kind of work it into the show, we'll see how it goes and how it works. I try to fit it in. So I'm talking like if you do like illustrations, graphic design, or handmade original crafts, I'll try to work it into the show in some shape, fashion, or form, and we'll see how that goes moving forward. But as of right now, it's just kind of loosey-goosey as I get people who contribute to the show. We'll see. And maybe I turn it into a thing, maybe it doesn't. But before we get to all of that, I would like to take this time to slide right inside my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books that are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. Yes, it's true. First one coming up from Twitter, we have Matthew Wilding. And he just shares a book to his newest thing. He says, "This is my newest thing." His newest thing being Freehands #1, which is a comic book that was written by Matthew Wilding, the art by Matt Rowe, and the letters were by Toben Racicot. So this is actually this is new for the first segment. Usually it's novels that I'm featuring, but I'm not opposed to the comic books. If you guys are into comic books, it's just usually I've covered comic books before, but it's just that usually with comic books, what seems to be the popular thing, well, for one, comic books usually have limited run, so it's rare that like I get a comic book that's like on demand, just like you can just purchase it on demand. But if you have, by all means, if you have a comic book that's out on the market right now and like someone could just go to a website or can just go to your website and purchase a copy of your comic book, you are more than welcome to share a link with me. And I can mention your work that way. So let's see what this is all about here. So there's the cover art on that one. Seems to have something to do with pirates. How observant of me, I know. So let's see. Free Hands, issue number 1. The last survivor of the pirate ship, Freehand, gives his forced confession in part 1 of this 18th century set pirate noir. This 26-page comic introduces readers to a colonial Boston and a maritime world that is cruel and unforgiving, and follows a crew that is desperately attempting to snatch brief freedom from the tyranny of the British Empire, even if leading a happy life means leading a short one. All right. Looks like things might get a little bit bloody in this one. So yeah, if you're publishing comic books, hit me up. All right, let's see. Next up, this comes directly from the LFLR Network Discord. So you guys on there, the easiest way to get your work featured on the show is to go ahead and join the Discord, link down below. And this one is The Stines by James D. Lee. That title might sound familiar to you because I did in fact watch a book trailer for that one during a live stream, probably about a month ago. Vampires. All right, The Stines. The Stines by James D. Lee. Let's check out the blurb. We have follow Mary Jade Von Stein as her world is turned upside down with the murders of her parents. Now Mary must go to a faraway kingdom and live with her distant royal family. How will Mary adapt to a strange country and her family when her family is all a bunch of monsters, mostly vampires, werewolves, and other undead creatures? How will Mary survive and cope living with them, and what of the assassins who seek to kill her? Who knows? There may be more to Mary than just your typical Southern tomboy. You will have to find out in this fast-paced romantic horror story. 248 pages. Dark fantasy horror. Horror. You must make a friend of horror. And just a little side note, I was checking out James D. Lee's Amazon author page and noticed that this is in fact a trilogy. The Stines is a trilogy, and the third book in this trilogy was released just this past August this year. So if you guys want to pick this one up, you want to check it out, you're into vampires and werewolves and the undead, you can jump on this you'll get the full trilogy experience. All right, coming up next, we have another one from the Discord. The Blackshade Machine, Book 1, Original design by William Latoria. Believe, let's see here. All right, there's the cover. Here is the blurb. Starts out with a little 5 out of 5 star praise. Let's skip down to the blurb here. Colonel Blackshade has been a Candarican military officer his entire adult life. He loves his country, tolerates most of the population, and finds comfort in his daily routine. Then the aliens appeared and twisted the course of his life into a knot. Blackshade must appease the extraterrestrial visitors while simultaneously keeping the worst aspects of humanity's population in check. Should he fail, extermination, enslavement, and obliteration are all very real possibilities. This is a story of discovery, science, and survival. This is also a story about humanity striving to reach its full potential. But whether that potential is for the betterment of the species or its desolation has yet to be determined. Find out how it all plays out by getting your copy now. 359 pages of first contact science fiction, alien invasion science fiction. Now, Mr. Blackshade, I'm kind of getting the I'm kind of getting a Men in Black kind of vibes from this plot here. All right. So these books, the thing about this segment is that all these books are books that are suggested to me directly by the publishers themselves, whether they be self-published, an independent label, or a small press company. So if you guys have a book that's out on the market or coming soon, you can get in contact with me. And as I said before, easiest way to get your book featured on the show is to go ahead, join the Discord down below, link down below. Let's see, we got one more for tonight. What I was going to say is that these books can be absolutely anything, pretty much, that's on the independent market. So long as it's published on the independent market, it could be just about anything. So that part of the excitement for me, as far as this goes, I never really know exactly what I'm going to get. So it kind of keeps me on my toes as far as that goes. We have from Sara Caudell. She shares her book. Just shares a link to her book. Her book entitled Shattered Sanctuary, A Cold Springs Mystery by Sara Caudell. I do post, if you're on Twitter, I also post, if you're not on Discord, but you're on Twitter, I do post writers' lifts weekly on Twitter, so you could always jump in on one of those as well. All right, there's the cover. Looks like it's won some sort of award there. So this is actually book 2 in the Cold Springs mystery series. Seems to be pretty popular, over 120 ratings on Amazon. Let's read the blurb. No good deed goes unpunished. I know that. In a Colorado ranching community, Jackie Jackson is building her cutting horse training facility while staying with her cousin. Unbeknownst to her rancher cousin, she provides women with a place of sanctuary. But when a Texas abused women's organization is burglarized and records stolen their and records stolen. Okay, let me read that again. But when a Texas abused women's organization is burglarized and records stolen, their tranquility is shattered. To add to the chaos, a powerful legislator starts looking for his wayward daughter, and eventually the law steps in. A bit of a drama here. 250 pages. Mystery series, suspense and action crime fiction. That is Shattered Sanctuary. All right, guys. I appreciate you all for sharing your books with me this week. And that is the books for this week. And don't forget to tune in. Usually I post it the day after the live stream. So Tuesday, tomorrow, will be tomorrow from when this is airing live. You will be able to cast your vote. Check the community tab on my channel, and you will be able to cast your vote for which one of those books you thought had the most text appeal. So in other words, which one out of those 4 books would you be most likely to pick up? It's a fun little thing. Get you guys engaged and involved on the channel. And also, if you're interested in discovering more from the independent market, of course, you can always head on over to my shorts tab or check out the mystery packs playlist, where you can open up a mystery pack and discover an indie author. The difference here being that each mystery pack includes 1 cover card and 1 editorial link to an independent book that has been recognized by the LFLR brand, by the LFLR network, and the editorial written by yours truly. So a couple different ways that you guys can discover something new from the independent market. I know that's kind of a thing. People usually aren't so willing to even bat an eye towards the independent market, or they're wary of the independent market, which we will be getting into a little bit later on tonight, because I think it's just a matter of they just really don't know where to start, because they're so used to Hollywood just kind of like spoon feeding them, or the mainstream media just like serving them things on a platter. So you have your mainstream labels. You have your mainstream brand names. And that's what people are used to. They're so used to the mainstream brand names that anything outside of that's unrecognizable might seem a little bit uncomfortable for people to get involved in, or they don't really know where to start. So I think like channels like this, where we're kind of like destigmatizing the independent market, I think is doing a great service for independent writers, independent authors, independent publishers, and independent art in general. Let's check out some comments. This is a little segment. This is kind of like an ad hoc segment that I just kind of do every now and then as need be, that I call Your Comments Matter. Yes. contrary to popular belief around some parts of YouTube, the comment section does not exist to satisfy the AI algorithm. The purpose of the comment section on videos is so that whoever uploads their video may have a chance to actually engage with their audience, aka the people who give your videos the time of day. Yes. So in this segment, that's where I do just that. I don't address comments. I kind of do comments differently, depending on what kind of a comment it is, I suppose. Matters too. But most comments, what I'll do now is instead of acknowledging the comment directly in the comment section, I'll wait till I've had a chance to address the comment live on the air during a show. So I think it makes it a little bit more personable, if you will. And it kind of brings back some of that, for me, it kind of brings back some of that old school YouTube charm, where that's really what YouTube was about, was having conversations with each other and different creators engaging with each other, whether it be through videos or through the comment section. But let's see who we had here. Stop by the channel. Just a quick one this week. Just want to make sure he gets his time. We have looks like author J. Creighton Smith. Oh yes, I'm always on the lookout for new people in maybe not necessarily new, but new to me. People involved in Authortube, Booktube realm of YouTube. So this is one of them. And he was commenting. Let me get this here. Come on now. Jeez Louise, baby, please. All right. So he left a comment. Oh no. He left a comment on my video, Art and Artificial Intelligence, Part 3 conversation. Just a quick comment. He just said, I agree with you. For me, art is derived from emotion. AI will never be able to reproduce that. That's what he had to say on that matter. So as far as the hot topics go, I'll say this. We're going to be getting into that in the next segment. But if you wanted to elaborate on that, Jay, if you wanted to elaborate on that at all, like if you wanted to leave, a little bit more detail or where you're coming from as far as that goes, what do you mean by AI will never be able to reproduce that? Like if you want to, kind of get involved in the conversation a little bit more in depth, then I'll be happy to address that more, like deep dive into your comment, if you will. Basically what I'm saying is the reason why I'm doing this segment is like for people, I know that sometimes people will take the time to leave like a long, thoughtful comment, almost like a short blog post, if you will. The type of comments that other people would basically just be like too long, didn't read, and just hit like and heart and just go about their day type of deal. Like what I'm saying is if you take the time to leave that kind of comment on any of my videos across my entire channel, that's what this segment is for. So like I'll take the time to actually read through everything you have to say and address whatever it is you have to say kind of point by point on a point by point basis, and kind of see if we can't, spark some conversation, spark some imagination, and kind of provoke some thought. You know what I mean? So thank you for checking that out, and be happy to see if you pop back up as this conversation continues. Because, like I say, these hot topics, these are ongoing conversations. So they're not one and done content videos. Like, they're actual, genuine, like, conversations that I want to have. And I'm not just doing it just to create content as much as I'm trying to create thought-provoking material that I want people to become engaged in. So it's I don't consider them a series as much as I do just a thread. So, like, what I'll do, I'll get into it. Let's get into it. But before I get into this one, let me set it up. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay. So, like I said before, always on the lookout for new creators, new to me, creators that I can connect with, whether it be in the Authortube and Booktube realm of YouTube, publishing, art, almost, and also in the comic books corner of YouTube as well. And let's see, this one, for this hot topic segment, I'm going to be covering a story that was actually brought to my attention. So I just by someone involved in Booktube and Authortube, and I just wanted to give her channel a quick shout out. So this story is coming from Emily Reed's Books. It's the name of her channel. In her most recent video, WTF is happening at HarperCollins. So just to be clear, this is not going to be a response to her video specifically. I just want to give her channel a quick shout out for making me aware of this story, as that is what I want to focus on, because I think as it pertains, as I do think that it is relevant to one of our hot topic discussions. So thanks for bringing that up, and let's go ahead and get down to business, shall we? Yes, hot topic for content creators. This is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you, in turn, either turn around and produce your own video in response to my pitch. And then if you tag me in your video, I will then, in turn, do a response to your video. Or you could just go ahead and drop me some comments down below and share your thoughts, and I will address them in turn during a future broadcast. So it's not always a new pitch. And for this show, I'm going to be continuing our discussion on one of our hot topic threads. Is Trad Pub obsolete? Yes, is Trad Pub obsolete? And just a quick comment from Twitter. Of course, hearing from Stephen Hudson. He just chimes in with his 2 cents. Simply says, absolutely not. Self-pub mostly produces junk. He just wanted to share his opinion on that. However, I would say that you should not speak too soon, because I do have 2 articles that I'm going to be addressing during this segment that points to the contrary. Looks like we have, coming out of HarperCollins, like I said before, one of the big 5. This is an article. This first article entitled, "It's a Cycle of Misery and Low Pay. HarperCollins workers launch indefinite strike for a livable wage." Yes, we're getting into the economic angle of this story here. Let's get into it. Now, mind you, I haven't even reviewed these articles yet. So this is my first time, not my first time hearing of the story, like I said, but this is my first time reading through the articles. So I'll try to keep my cool as far as this goes, because I'm based on the headline. I can tell that we're already going to be dealing with some kind of hot button issues. Might get a little political, might get a little bit ideological. We'll see. Basically, what I'm saying is I'm going to do my best to approach this subject matter with an even keel. However, best believe if I smell some bullshit, I'm going to keep it real. So bear that in mind. So let's get into it. About 200 workers at the New York City office of HarperCollins, one of the big 5 English language publishing companies, launched an indefinite strike on Thursday. The workers, who are members of United Auto Workers Local 2110, want wage increases to keep up with surging inflation in what is one of the most expensive cities in the world. The HarperCollins workers include editors, designers, salespeople, and marketing personnel. Interesting. I have something to say about that. Their last negotiation contract expired at the end of 2020. Go figure. And the UAW has extended it for almost 2 years. During this time, workers have not had any significant raises, even as prices of shelter and staple goods have risen steadily. So I don't know about how you guys feel about that. Is it that kind of raises a question that goes beyond publishing in and of itself? But apparently this is one of the big 5, one of the big dogs. Okay, one of the big 5 is allegedly not paying their employees a livable wage. Okay, is that part of their responsibility? Is that something that they should be doing? I'm sure you guys can fill me in as to what your opinions are on that matter. But I really want to look at this and see how it pertains to whether or not Trad Pub is obsolete. Definitely raises some flags. Like I say, these are old school business models. More on that in a second. So, negotiations began in January 2022, and the extended contract expired in April. These are kind of like the inside baseball type stuff. Workers say that the company, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation, is stonewalling and not taking negotiations seriously. I mean, okay, except for a one-day strike on July 20th, which workers supported by a margin of 99.5%. The United Auto Workers bureaucracy has kept workers on the job, allowing the company to beef up its financial war chest and prepare for a strike. So by the way, this article comes from the World Socialist website, by the way. So I have 2 articles, okay? And try not to be too biased about this when it comes to these news article things, these news article stories. So the World Socialist website spoke with several HarperCollins workers on the first day of the strike. Parrish is an editorial assistant, but also performs responsibilities related to acquisitions. He has been with the company for a year and estimates that he works on 30 or 40 books per year. He's only been with the company for a year. Imagine only being with the company for a year and you're already demanding pay raises. I don't know. I'm kind of old school in that way. Like you'd have to be like you're not even vested in the company. Like even in corporations that have that offer employees like 401k packages, like you have to be like, in order to gain the full benefit, like you'd have to be vested in you have to become vested in the company, which typically is around it could be anywhere from 5 to 7 years before you are considered like fully vested in the company. So anyways, let's see what else they have to say. And they're outside, mind you. So let me just see if I can let me just see if I can flash a photo here just to kind of paint the picture. There you go. So let's continue on here. The publishing industry is notorious for underpaying its workers. So I'm noticing just right off the bat, I am noticing some bias in this article here, but then again, it is from the World Socialist website. So the bias is pretty clear from the get-go. The publishing industry is notorious for underpaying its workers. It's almost as if like these people have no sense of agency. You know what I mean? As if it's like it's the company's responsibility to make sure that all of these people are taken care of in that sense, and they're not actually just applying for a job and they understand and they sign like a workers agreement up front beforehand. But I digress. Let's continue on here. The publishing industry is notorious for underpaying its workers, and Parrish explained that wages at HarperCollins are at the low end of the scale. An entry-level worker at HarperCollins makes $45,000 per year. Around here, that would be considered that'd almost be considered lower middle class around here. But for New York City, yeah, that's that I can see how that's considered peanuts for New York City. But let's get into this. We're getting into the economics here. A few years ago, HarperCollins paid entry-level workers only $36,000. Okay, a lot of people have second jobs, said Parrish. He is considering getting part-time weekend work at a bookstore to make ends meet. Parrish estimated, I mean, it doesn't necessarily, I know this is kind of like a side thing, but why does it have to have something to do with books or publishing? You know, you can have multiple jobs that don't relate with one another. You know what I mean? I've done all types of jobs throughout my lifetime. I've scrubbed dishes, stocked shelves, moved freight by hand. Like, a lot of the jobs that I've had throughout my life were manual labor jobs. And a lot of manual labor jobs will pay you handsomely, but they are labor intensive though. But you know what I mean? If you want to get your bills paid, I don't know. Let's get into this before I freaking go into a thrombo here. Yet the company claims that workers' wage demands are fanciful. Yet the company claims that workers' wage demands are fanciful, he said. Another grievance, I mean, you're talking about a corporation here. So if you see in the photo, one thing that I'll just want to state is like the lack of self-awareness. One, the lack of self-awareness. Two, the lack of agency that, you know, is being projected here. I'm not going to try, don't want to point any individual out in general here. I'm just saying, as the group mentality, this group mentality is like, there's just this air of entitlement that just does not resonate with me whatsoever. Like, I cannot sympathize with this because, as you can see in the photo, like, and part of it too is the union itself. Like, unions are trash. And nowadays, like, they're like, unions are just as bad as the corporations. Like, they're getting paid their dues. It's the union leaders pulling the strings, and they're in cahoots with the corporations themselves. Like, people think that, like, the unions are there to represent the worker, and it's like, look what you're doing in the name of the union right now. You're going on strike. You going on strike is effectively helping out the union leaders themselves, the good old boys, the Teamsters, if you will, and as they go to war, as they infight with the corporation to try and get themselves a better frickin' deal. Do you think that the unions give a shit about the individual employee that might be working for the company? Come on, man. It's not. This is Three Musketeers, one for all for one type of deal. They don't. You are effectively cannon fodder for their cause. And that's what these unions do. They use the employees as cannon fodder for their own cause, the union leader's cause, not your cause. Yeah, you want these things. But meanwhile, who's wasting their time out there? Who's wasting their time, your precious, precious time, standing outside, holding a stupid sign and protesting for a cause that you yourself have no, like, you don't even have a dog in the race. Like, this is just your job. We are in a new age. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. By the way, hello, Rainer. Welcome. We are entering into a new age where the old school ways, like the days of developing a career, are kind of going the way of a dinosaur. That's not how things are going to be done as we move into the future. Is there still going to be companies and businesses? Yes, but not on such a large scale. Depending on how things go economically. But as you can see, the market is transforming. There is a paradigm shift happening, and we are entering into this new age where resources are highly abundant and accessible to the average individual, but which is then going to turn into this like pseudo small marketplace type of deal where it's like you'll have big corporations dealing with like the big things like distribution and stuff like that and manufacturing. And then you're going to have a lot of smaller micro businesses, which is effectively going to be broken down to the lowest common denominator, which is going to be individuals. Effectively, it's going to be individuals working amongst other individuals. Now, one question I raise when seeing something like this, because if there's something that I hate seeing most of all, is not necessarily people wasting their time, because there's people who waste their time each and every single day. And what people do with their time, quite frankly, is none of my business. I only mind my business. And I'll tell you right now, anyone that I've ever known that was successful during their lifetime or reached success in their life or had success in their life valued their time first and foremost. And that's not what I see here. So when you're outside and you're picketing with your signs, you know what that says to me from a business standpoint? That screams desperation. So really, if I'm looking at this from the corporation standpoint, it's like one of two things going to happen. Okay, you got your contracts and your union leaders and this and that. So there's going to have to be some sort of negotiations. So you're not necessarily just going to lose your job over this. However, it is possible that you could be replaced. Either you become replaced or you yourself are going to quit and move on because you need to start making some income. I mean, if you're out here right now and you're not getting paid, you're not eating. And once that belly hits that back, you're going to be, all right, I got to go. I got to do something. So what I'm saying is, like, instead of like waiting around, and it's foolish too. Another point that I wanted to make is that it's foolish because I don't know who any of you are. Like all of you people that are out here and you're doing this, you are one, not only wasting your time, you're squandering your potential. If you're so valuable, that is, to be out here and with such, what is it? The word hubris. You're out here marching around with such hubris to be making these demands upon the company that you effectively work for as an employee. You are hired help. You are the help as far as that goes. And you can say that sounds belittling or whatever, but it is what it is. We're talking about a corporation here. This isn't a mom and pop shop. This isn't a company that's run by people who saw you, when you were in diapers and grew up, and then they wanted to give you a job because they genuinely care about you as an individual. Okay. No, we're talking about effectively what is a machine. A corporation, corporate entity is a machine, and all it cares about is numbers. It doesn't give a crap if you've been surviving off cat food for the past 3 months. It does not care about that. It doesn't care if you can make rent. Okay. That's your problem, not the corporation's problem, as far as that goes. So that's what I really want to drive home here. If people who are looking at this, because you're going about this all the wrong way. And may I make a suggestion, if I dare do so? These types of folks out here, like I said, I don't know who any of you are. That's one issue that I see right here, because what you've been doing with your time is investing it in somebody else's business. First and foremost, you people have been representing the HarperCollins name, not your name. You haven't been spending your time making a name for yourself or building up your own brand recognition, which would have been which would be in the long term a better use of your time. Now, this isn't to say that there isn't light at the end of the tunnel in terms of as far as this goes. I'll tell you right now, for one, you would never catch my ass standing outside, just standing around, walking around in circles, holding a stupid sign. You will never ever catch my ass. Mark my words, you will never catch my ass doing that. You will never see a photo of me in a newspaper or an article or anything wasting my time. I wouldn't waste my time. I got better things to do with my time than to do that and be basically crying about whether or not it's just desperate. It just screams of desperation is what I'm saying. And if you guys are so valuable, not to say that you aren't, but the point is it's like you guys have painted yourself into a corner where it's like, you need this to work. That's what this looks like to me. Like you guys need this to work. You need this contract to go through. You need this because you're in a desperate situation in your own personal lives, what have you. I don't know. But that's what this looks like to me. And what I'm saying is, if you guys worked for so many years or whatever, for so long for this company, surely you must have been taking some notes. If you were smart, if you were really smart, you were taking some notes and you were learning about the business itself, how to run the business, how to run a publishing house, the ins and the outs of the whole industry from the inside. You got an inside look at how the industry runs. Are you kidding me? And then your skills on top of that. How many heads do you see in that video right now? Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, you have a small staff of individuals right there that are allegedly have talent, bring value to the table, that make money allegedly for the company. So what the hell, my question to you is, we're in a new age now. What the hell is stopping you people from getting together? If you wanted to, you know each other, right? You've worked side by side with each other. So there's not there's already some built-in trust right then and there, because you guys are co-workers, probably had chit-chat and conversations. You probably know a little bit about each other's lives. So what is stopping you guys from getting together, saying, screw this place, and you guys get together, you form your own company, you form your own publishing company, you could start your own publishing house. You have enough heads right now. I'll tell you right now, that right there is enough people to start your own publishing house. You could have, in other words, you could have multiple departments, and you could be doing multiple activities. You could have your own in-house magazine for marketing purposes. You could have your editors that go through the slush piles. You could be going through and picking up clients and publishing their books under your own label. Start bringing in some residuals. You know what I'm saying? But you know what that would require? That would require you guys to actually have some passion for what it is that you're doing. And I'll tell you right now, I don't see passionate folks in this photo right now. I see desperate folks. I see folks that are doing what they're doing to make a buck. And that's it. I mean, look at that. What was that headline? The headline says it all. Quote, "It's a cycle of misery and low pay." You're miserable at your job, dude? I guarantee you there are plenty of middle-aged white women on Twitter that would gladly trade places with you in a minute, and wouldn't have to worry about the income because their livelihoods are supplemented by their husband. So I'm just saying, you guys are running a fool's errand right now. Let's get into the other article before I have a full thrombo here. I feel like I'm addressing children. You know, these are things, like, for me, like, I grew up old school. Like, this is like a no-brainer for me. You know what I mean? Like I say, you would never catch my ass out there all bundled up, got your mittens on, standing out in the cold looking like a jackass, holding the frickin' sign for the Teamsters. It's not even your cause. It's the union's cause. All right, next up. This one comes from The Guardian. Different angle on this. Same story. Says HarperCollins union workers go on strike over pay. Quote, "for as long as it takes." And this one's a little bit different. This one's coming at it from a little bit different angle, I assume. I haven't read the article yet. We're about to get into it. And this one is a little bit different because it says down at the bottom here, it says workers at the only Big Four publisher to have a union authorize indefinite strike over low wages and diversity. All right, let's see what they have to say. So Stephanie Stephanie Gurdon started working in the children's book department of HarperCollins Publishers 6 years ago. It was a dream job, just not a dream paycheck. The $33,500 a year salary was well below a livable wage in New York City, but Gurdon didn't ask for more. I was terrified that I was not going to get that job if I negotiated, they said. I say they. Isn't it she? She said. It says they said, but whatever. Publishing is very much an industry where they tell you, if you don't want this, there are 500 people in line behind you who do. Exactly. And that's the cold, hard fact of the matter. Publishing has for decades. See, it's like a prestige thing. And that's why I don't understand. Like, these people, they want to get into these companies because a part of it is, yes, you're getting into the industry. It's like built-in prestige. So you get to say, oh, I work at HarperCollins, but that's a trap. That's why I've been trying to tell you guys. Like, it's a trap that these companies, they know they're playing that game. They know they're playing upon your more base sensibilities, where it's like you don't necessarily want to do the work as far as that goes. Not to say that you didn't work hard to get into the company. I don't really, maybe you have your English degree or you've got creative writing degree, what have you. Kudos to you for doing that and accomplishing that. But this isn't to take away from the fact that these companies know exactly what they're doing when, they understand that they hold leverage over you. It's not the other way around. These are highly, highly sought after jobs. Why? Because of the built-in prestige that they bring along with it. So if you're the type of person where you're like la-di-da, you need that la-di-da type of, accomplishment attached to your name. Like, ooh, I worked for HarperCollins. That you need that, you're falling into their trap at the end of the day. And I'll tell you this right now, it only benefits HarperCollins. Okay? Because the vast, vast majority of people in this day and age, we're in a new age, are going indie for a reason, for good reasons. This being one of those reasons. Who wants to waste their frickin' time standing outside in the cold, holding a sign, when you could be doing what you actually have a passion for, which is the writing, the editing, the publishing, just getting down to business in general. Publishing has for decades has been known for its low pay and overwhelmingly white staff. But workers at HarperCollins, the only member of the Big Four publishing house to have a union, have had enough and authorized an indefinite strike. Was that the workers' idea? Seriously. The vast majority of people that I saw in that photo from the other article were white. Just saying. So that doesn't really make any sense to me that they would authorize a strike in the name of diversity and cut their pay by not working because they want equal opportunity, as if that doesn't already exist. Just very strange. Can you imagine arguing yourself out of a job? What the hell is going on? Logic. But workers at HarperCollins, the only member of the Big Four publishing house to have a union, have had enough, authorized, blah, blah, blah. The employees like Gurdon, who is a shop steward at the union, spilled on the streets to picket. We want to create a workplace that is more financially sustainable for employees and accessible to people from a variety of backgrounds, said Olga Brodostova, president of Local 2110 United Auto Workers, the union at HarperCollins. All right. So more than 250 HarperCollins employees are unionized, aka they have a contract with the union. And this is what I don't like about unions, is like you're over there and you're kind of like you're at the mercy of whatever is on their agenda. I know there's a vote involved, but let me just say this, that democracy appeals to the lowest common denominator when it comes to intelligence and logic. And as you can see, not a whole hell of a lot of rationale behind this. Imagine being the poor schmuck. You're now out of work because you got sucked into some nonsense that some other people wanted to start. You know, I can't imagine that. It's a big no thank you from me, I have to say. I would be thankful that I have a job and I would be focused on my business within the company. What is it that I'm bringing to the table? What am I doing? I'm concerned about my position in the company, because that's the type of mentality you have to have when you work for a corporation. This isn't a social affair. You know, you guys think that you want to make it a social affair, but it's very much, as you are seeing right now, you are getting the harsh reality of this. And many of you are going to have a wake-up call when this does not go your way, if it doesn't go your way, I should say. I mean, because a lot of this is I would imagine, is out of the company's hands. You don't see the company's bottom line, so you can't say that the company has the funds to do this or that in particular when it comes to these matters. The strike was authorized by a vote of 95.1%. Wow. Holy crap. 95% of the union workers living in delusion. It comes after 11 months of negotiations at HarperCollins management over a new contract and one-day strike that occurred on the 20th of July. The average salary of the company is $55,000. That's $10,000 more than in the last article. The average salary at the company is $55,000. I mean, I don't know. The numbers to me are arbitrary. You know what I mean? You guys aren't coming at this from a matter of principle. I'm coming at this from a matter of principle. You know, you're trying to make demands upon the company and effectively dictate to them how to structure their business. As if you know, I don't know, like you're trying to make it so they have to restructure their business and come up with a new business plan. And it's like there are outside factors to take into consideration, externalities, if you will, if you're familiar with that term in economics, that may be creating pressures upon the company. And you, again, like I say, without seeing the bottom line, how can you know they're capable of doing this or that? So the only way I really see this, what happens here, is that the company will probably end up, if anything, this may not end up turning into anything, and then it'll just go back to business as usual. That's best case scenario. And people are going to have to learn how to restructure their personal lives in order to fit in, if this is the type of career choice they want to continue to pursue, or else they're going to have to make some personal decisions and find a new way to make a living if this isn't cutting the mustard. At which point, that's real action being taken with your feet. You're walking the walk. You can't talk the talk. You're never going to get anywhere just by talking the talk. I'll tell you that much. You got to walk the walk. You got to be willing to walk the walk. So the more people that walk, it's going to force the company to reconsider and restructure. And what is more apt to happen in that scenario is the company simply going to have to downsize. They will downsize. They will probably restructure. They might they could possibly even move locations too. That's also another that's also another possibility. We're willing to stay out as long as it takes, Gurdon said, again, screaming desperation. After about a week, the company is really going to feel the loss of all our essential labor. That's what you think. It's kind of like I say again. If it's that essential, and if it boasts a certain value, in other words, a number, you have an arbitrary number in your head of what you are worth to the company. That's what these negotiations are for. Then my question again just goes back to, why the hell aren't you people just organizing on your own and forming your own company and coming up with a better business plan? For instance, one that doesn't require maintenance of real estate, for instance. And you could go, and you guys don't have to stay in New York. You could move someplace. You could start the business someplace where there is a lower cost of living. You see what I'm saying? So day-to-day operations would be extremely cheap by comparison. You know, these are all ideas. I'm an idea-oriented guy. Like, let's come up with solutions, people, not bitch about your lot in life and hoping that other people come up with solutions to fix what is ultimately your problem. I hate to have to put it that way, but apparently your daddies in your life, or maybe if you didn't have one, never explained how the real world works. Okay, the real world does not care about your individual personal problems. Okay, you can't pay rent, that's your problem. You know what I mean? You got to figure it out. Maybe you get roommates. Maybe you downsize yourself. You move in to a house with like several people and you share space and you all split the rent. You know what I'm saying? The company doesn't care about that crap. All right. So I feel like I'm starting to circle this conversation here. You guys let me know what you think. A little bit of a spicy one this week, I have to say. But the conversation continues, and I thought that was relevant to the topic, and I wanted to cover that one as it was coming at it from a little bit different angle. We can start to see, if you read between the lines there, that these companies are starting to feel, it seems like some of these companies are starting to feel the sting of what could be the greatest depression that this country has ever faced. So buckle up. All right. Let's get into some announcements, shall we? Let's get into some announcements. Speaking of books and independent business, I have a little something here. I think I covered everything I wanted to on that one. I don't know. Other things may come up later on, but I really want to hear what you guys have to say too. I'm open to all angles. Even if you're a socialist, I say, hey, we're not all perfect. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. So even if you believe in that socialism nonsense, communism nonsense, you're a commie, you can go ahead and drop me your comments. Let me know how you think about the situation. Is it the company's responsibility to make sure that you have enough money to pay your rent? Is that pertinent? I mean, because if the employees do bring a certain amount of value to the company and make the company money, they are indeed making the company a certain amount of money. Well, then, yeah, I guess it would make sense that the company would be able to pay them a certain amount. But who's to say that the company isn't paying them the exact wage that those employees deserve? You know what I mean? What are you saying? Yeah. I don't want a bunch of Karens deciding my fate. I don't believe in democracy. I don't believe in socialism. I don't believe in communism. There you go. In case you were wondering, I don't believe in it. Just from a grassroots standpoint. Now I'll just leave it at that. But we have here book cover design 2050. Says, hi, I'm an illustration artist who do amazing illustrations. I'd like to have many more friends on here in the writing community. Follow me if you like my arts. I'll follow back everyone who follows me. Thanks. And this is for, let's see here. We have book cover design by Casson 2050 via Fiverr. Yes, Fiverr is one of those outlets if you're looking to have a little side hustle, if you will. Fiverr is a big name in the gig economy. They go way back. I think they've been around for over 10 years now, over a decade now. Let's see. Let's take a peek at Casson's Fiverr page. Oh, no. Come on now. Oops. No, we don't want that. We want... All right. I will illustrate sci-fi, fantasy, romance, horror, erotica, KDP, Kindle, book cover. Casson 2050. Let's check out this video here. I didn't share the audio, just for the visuals here. A little weary of sharing anything with music on YouTube now. Got book covers. What is that? Illustrate fantasy characters with epic background and magic. That one wasn't bad. Magic and any kind of legendary creatures. Epic scenes. That one went too fast for me. Illustrations of realistic character with any kind of background and poses. Children. So children book covers. Additional concepts. Designing. You got future cities, kingdoms, sci-fi, spaceships, etc. Thriller. Any kind of genre. What's that? That one doesn't look bad. That one looks cool. Highly doubt that's a $5 cover right there. All right, let's see. Let's check out, see if there's some picks from some satisfied customers here. Jimmy Crikey. Well, that one's all right. That one's kind of eye-catching. I don't know if I like the green on green though. The green sky and the green. Probably would have made that sky a different color. That's one of the best ones, I think, right there. That one looks pretty good. That one is good, I should say. Out of them so far. That one's not bad. And that one's all right too. All right, let's see what we have here. The basic package, $50. What happened to Fivers? I thought Fiverr, the whole point of the Fiverr website was that you'd have at least one option that started at $5, hence the name Fiverr. Inflation. $50. Let's see what the basic package gets you for $50. You get a book cover with premium images. It'll be a licensed stock image, fancy text, layered background, print ready, 300 DPI, 7-day delivery, unlimited revisions. This includes back and spine designs and a 3D mock-up. And then you got the standard package for 70 bingles. You got an illustrated book cover. So you'll get one character, fancy text, layered background, print ready, 300 DPI, including JPEGs, PDF, at 4,000 pixels, 10-day delivery, unlimited revisions. Back and spine include source file and everything from the previous one. And of course, you have the premium pack, the premium package for $150. $150. You're going to get the illustrated cover. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Thanks for joining in, dude. The premium package, you will get an illustrated cover, which may include up to 3 characters, fancy text, layered background. You get a print ready, like I say, everything else. And this one is the total package. So you'll get the back and spine designs, a jacket cover, includes the source file, includes the social media kit. I wonder what the social media kit is. I imagine that must be like promo materials, promo type pics and stuff like that. $150. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sound like it's worth it or what? I don't like how they don't have a $5 entry though. I mean, I at least have like $5 consultation, you know. The website is called Fiverr for a reason. You know, your gigs should start out at $5, even if it's just like consultation, $5. Pay me $5 and I will consider, and I will hear you out. I will listen to what your project is, and I will consider working with you. And I will let you know yay or nay as to whether or not I am capable of doing that. But that's going to cost you $5. Value your time, you know? Oh, that's Herman. Hell yeah, Herman. Rock on. So let's wrap up this gig. So what else they got? So about this gig, are you looking for an awesome fantasy book cover with custom characters and epic background? And you're at the right place. I draw and paint because that's what I wanted to know. How are they doing this exactly? So I draw and paint 3D realistic characters or use premium stock images. So at least it's not 100% AI, If they were charging you, if they were trying to charge me $150 for some freaking AI mock-ups, I'd be like, you can go pound sand, pal. I'll tell you that right now. But apparently not. So fantasy, sci-fi, just telling you what genres they're willing to do. You can check out that link. They have I guess they have an account on Flickr if you want to see what some of the work that they've done. So unlimited revisions. So that's cool. I mean, at least the unlimited revisions. A lot of people on Fiverr, when they do these types of gigs, they do include, typically do include as a customer service kind of thing that they'll do unlimited revisions. Basically just that's a customer satisfaction guaranteed kind of thing. But it is cool that they are willing to work with you. And this is what they need from you. They need a title, they need a subtitle, and they need the author name. An example of what you need. Fancy text, if you like. Covers that you have seen and you feel like you want. So like maybe they want to be sent some examples. So be prepared. I do like what they're doing here. They want their customers to be prepared. Don't just be like, can you make a book cover for me? Okay. What kind of book cover? What do you want it to look like? Bring something to the table. Don't just like, I need you to make a book cover. Make sure to provide all details in the order requirements. It helps me to get the right idea to design the cover. I will provide revisions until you are 110% satisfied. If you want stock images on your cover, I will use premium stock images to avoid copyright issues. All right, and that's that. So I will actually leave the link, not to their Twitter, but to their actual Fiverr page for that specific gig. So that could be a new thing for announcements. So if you guys are involved in the gig economy, whether you are, I know some of you out there in Authortube land, you're editors, you do editing services and stuff like that, please, by all means, you are welcome to share a link with me, and I'll be more than willing to announce and show off and showcase your gig and your page and go into it in whole detail. Let everyone know about what kind of services that you have to provide. So like I said before, the easiest way to do that is go ahead, jump on the Discord. If you're not a member of the Discord, it's just one of those things where it's like, I made the Discord because I know everybody isn't on Twitter these days, and a lot of people who are on Twitter now don't really want to be a part of Twitter, and that's fine. I'm not here to judge people in that way. I understand not everybody and social media is not for everybody. As we move forward, it's going to almost become inevitable that you want to have some sort of presence on some social media platforms. Take your pick as far as that goes, I guess. But what I found with Discord, it did take me a little while to kind of get used to the format of like, what is Discord all about? I was kind of confused at first. Like, is it basically just a forum? Just another online forum, which it is kind of like that, but I don't have any expectations. I'll just put it to you guys like that. The reason why I created the Discord is because I know that not everybody is on Twitter, not everybody's on Facebook or cares to be. So the Twitter is kind of like a way of being on social media, but at the same time, kind of remaining private at the same time. So when you join my Discord, it's kind of a private way of you being able to share some links with me so that you can get your work featured on the show. So what I'm talking about here is you can share links to your books, to your blogs, to your YouTube channel videos. If you run an indie label or small press, you could share submission calls. If you're trying to fund different types of projects, or you have works in progress that you are looking for, like crowdfunding investment, you can share those projects with me. I've covered those. Comic books are very popular art form or medium for taking advantage of crowdfunding. And also, if you are just like a content creator on Booktube, or if you have Facebook groups, mind you, where you specifically run reading events or run book clubs, and you're just looking for, maybe reach out to some people who might be interested in getting involved in that. I'm willing to announce that as well. So gigs is the new one. So I'm kind of glad that person reached out to me, because that kind of added that idea. What are you guys talking about? Oh, you're talking about something else. So yeah, so the Discord. Join the Discord. What I was saying is there's no expectations of you on the Discord. I'm not expecting you to be there every day. I'm not expecting you to check in. I'm not expecting you to engage in small talk or chit chat or anything like that. There are rooms for that, but first and foremost, basically, I just created the Discord so you guys have a place, a one-stop shop where you can share all your links with me directly, and you know that I'm going to see them and get your work featured on the show. Talk about some opportunities here. I want to say I am looking to collaborate. I am trying to reach out to more writers as well, and I want to collaborate with more creators within this sphere. So the best way that I've found, or the way that I think is most comfortable all around, is to basically just where I've pitched a project that I call the Storyteller Society. So this is a writing project, a side project that I started earlier this year, and I'm looking for flash fiction. So flash fiction, anywhere from as low as 500 words and upwards to about 2,000 words. So anywhere in between there, and it can be any genre. And you guys, it's an opportunity for you guys to kind of, work with me, and we can kind of create kind of a peer-to-peer, business-to-business kind of relationship in that way. And at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to expand your creative portfolio, while at the same time helping to support my blog and my efforts. And whatever you contribute here, it's a non-exclusive deal. So what I mean by that is that even if you have your own blog and you've maybe published something on your own blog, I do allow you to turn around, and if you want to give me permission to republish it on here, I'll do so. And it can give you a plug to your own work in that way. And I handle all the marketing after the fact. So it's kind of like a you help me, help you kind of deal. And it's just something fun that I started doing this year, like I say, as kind of like an outreach, part of my LFLR network outreach program, if you will. So let's get into some reading time. And this one, speaking of the Discord, this does come from the Discord. And we have The Vacation Business Trip by Melody via her profile or contribution on a website called vocal.media/humans, which is an interesting platform. I was looking at it. This is the first time I've even heard of that platform. I guess it is another platform where writers can have their work published. So let's check that out. Now, these reading time contributions, This is where an opportunity where you guys, if you want to share something from your own blog, or it could be from your Wattpad, it could be from your Kindle Vella, like I'll read the first episode of your Kindle Vella. It could be like if you have your own blog and you publish poetry, short stories, or maybe the first chapter, like an excerpt from your own novels, or if you publish editorials, even like opinion pieces. It doesn't have to necessarily be fiction. It could be nonfiction, like articles as well. If it's like, something that's going to spark imagination, stimulate thought, that kind of thing. Okay, let's get into this. Closing in on 2 hours. The vacationed business trip. Okay. It's a dream I've been longing for, and I can't wait to catch it. My extremely busy life over the past few years was a huge blessing, but now it's time to take a step back and examine a new environment. I'm very happy to let go of the worries and plagues that negatively impacted me. It's a brand new season, and it's waiting for my arrival. I give an honor to the Holy Trinity and the angels for all their efforts in paving the way for sunny skies. Gate 208, Gate 208, now boarding. Gate 208, Gate 208, now boarding, now boarding. Well, that was music to my ears. It was more than just a gate. It was the door that I'd been waiting for God to open, and he did it so effortlessly. He makes bending iron look surprisingly easy. Walking through the gate felt like walking on air to a breezy island. After boarding the plane, I was in heavenly airs, and the sky was pure blue. It was bright and not a cloud in the sky. I looked for thunder and found peace. It was the atmosphere I was happily hoping for. The flight attendants smiled and welcomed me like I was someone they knew. Perhaps I reminded them of one of their relatives or friends. How entertaining is that? My smile went from ear to ear as I boarded the plane and found my seat. But then I heard something. I think this almost sounds like this is in memoir format. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe if Melody sees this, you can let me know. But I'm not 100% sure if this is a work of fiction or if this is kind of like effectively a memoir, like an anecdote. Chima, Chima. I blatantly ignored such a repetitive sound that made me wish I was invisible. It would have been great if that sound stopped alarming me, but it continued to bug me until I responded. I unwillingly looked up, and it was a guy asking me, "How are you?" I responded, "Fine, just peachy," as I let out a yawn and a stretch. Then he put his luggage up and took a seat next to me. Cue the scary music. I pondered my thoughts for a relaxing moment as the plane continued to board a few passengers. I did a quick glance as I flashed my neck to see his profile. I tried to do it in a way he wouldn't notice. He knew my name, and I seemed familiar to him as my pondering continued. She didn't ask, "Do I know you?" All of a sudden, he looked at me again and then reached his hand out to shake my hand, saying, "My name is Bembe." I felt a warm tingle feeling when he announced his name, and it left my mouth open in shock. I managed to say, "Bembe?" as I stared out the window. opposing my seat that was in Bembe's direction. Okay, now that name took me on a trip to memory lane. The sweet smell of coconut and pineapple filled my nostrils, and it took my mind to another dimension. It was the hair moisturizer I used earlier in the morning. I was exploring ways to strike up a decent but fulfilling conversation with him because I actually remember the first day I met Bembe and felt so relaxed and peaceful. He was as comforting as a teddy bear to me. Aww. Oh, I even remember his first words to me, which was, "Excuse me, you have gum in your hair." And I immediately started screaming and crying because that's what a 5-year-old does when she can't figure out how to get gum out of her hair. So apparently these two go way back, is the gist of what I'm getting here. Even at that young age, I felt embarrassed and realized that some other gals and boys were laughing and pointing at me. Well, that was nice of him, at least nice of him to let you know. Elementary. I don't miss that aspect of it, as I shrugged my shoulders. The pilot is making a formal greeting and explaining certain guidelines over the PA system. Bembe? I said softly as the plane took off, and I also noticed the flight wasn't packed with passengers. He looked at me with very pleasant eyes and raised eyebrows. I nervously giggled and took a deep breath before saying, "It's nice to see you again. You must be on vacation." Vacation? What is that? So we both laughed as the plane was leveling out in the sky. My mind gets lost in the sky as I glared out the window. A moment later, Bembe says, "I'm on a business trip." And he smiled. He followed it up by saying he had some venues to check out. Oh, I see. And I was excited and wanted to hear more since I am a wedding planner who loves touring venues. I explained to Bembe that I am a wedding planner and this is my first overseas wedding that I planned. It brings me so much joy to work with engaged couples who truly love each other. Without hesitation, Bembe unzipped his bag and pulled out 3 roses taped together. He then passed them to me and said, "You are talented and beautiful." I gazed at the rose. I think that's might be gazed. I gazed at the roses because I was shocked. As I took them into my hands, I then remembered to say, "Thank you." I told him I was going to eat my half turkey and Swiss sandwich before my stomach starts talking to me, and he giggled. He brought some coffee from one of the flight attendants after eating my sandwich, chips, and then finishing my 16-ounce juice. I fell off to sleep. After more than 2 hours in the air, we were given a full plate of food for lunch. The sky is still bright, even though the contrast is a bit darker. That yogurt was delicious as I skywatched. I traded my granola bar for Bembe's Hershey bar with nuts, reminiscing on how I wasn't planning to make a friend on this trip, but made one anyway. Sometimes in life, your plans don't work out, but better things happen for you. After my peaceful nap, I woke up already smiling and stretching, with the announcement from the cockpit that we are landing in Florence, Italy, to pick up more passengers and let passengers off. As I was about to greet Bembe, I noticed he was looking a bit confused, so I asked, "What's wrong?" He said, "Where's the destination for this plane?" I said, "We're here." He sighed and said, oh no, calmly. I was getting worried and placed my hand on his shoulder, saying, "What is it?" He said with a bit frantically, "I'm on the wrong plane." Uh-oh. Play the light bulb music. At that point, I just held his hand, and my eyes were open so wide as I stared at him, as if to say, "Tell me when I can breathe again, and I can stop looking so shocked." The next words out of my mouth were, "And how did that happen?" He just shook his head and leaned over with his head in his lap. So I proceeded to calm him down by patting him on his back and then rubbing his back. Then the next question kind of slipped out. "So, where was your destination?" From Bembe's mouth, I heard, "Florida." It's a long way from Kansas. In a shaky, concerned kind of way. Noticing we were halfway around the world, I took a few breaths before I blurted out, "Florida?" And then I started giggling and put my hand over my forehand to try to stop myself. But I said, "Wow, wow, wow," and was giggling again. I did cover my mouth with my hand. He seemed a bit disheveled, as I could only imagine. We both boarded the plane in New York, and we would have flown to Florida in about 2 hours if that was the actual destination of the plane. But it certainly wasn't, and my buddy Bembe found out too late, needless to say. He was very bothered now and said he was distracted by noticing me earlier at the airport. So he just started following you. He sat around thinking about me. But here's one thing, though, that I will raise. Perhaps a bit of a plot hole, if you will. Aren't there stewardesses? I mean, fun fact, I've never actually flown on a plane before, but I have seen enough flights in movies or on TV to raise the question that isn't there like a stewardess or somebody like at the actual gate when you're boarding the plane that checks your ticket for you? Like checks your ticket? Correct me if I'm wrong. Perhaps a little bit of a plot hole here. He sat around thinking about me and how he wanted to get my attention. In other words, they wouldn't just let any Tom, Dick, or Harry get on to any old flight. Like they would, in other words, wouldn't there be like, isn't there like some sort of like double checking to make sure that you actually belong on the plane? At the very least, to make sure that you have a ticket to be on that plane. When he saw a man, he sat around thinking about me and how he wanted to get my attention. When he saw a man selling flowers, he made sure to purchase those 3 roses to make me smile. That worked, and I appreciated his kindness. I'm starting to get a little bit stalker vibes here. Now I am trying to keep Bembe calm, and also I don't want to bombard him with questions, like one poignant one. I wondered, what can he do, and will he do it? I told him, "Don't worry." As I got up and walked to the bathroom. On my way to the bathroom, I saw Elvis. Well, it was a passenger dressed as Elvis and had the honky-tonk guitar. I thought we are definitely getting a concert. I used the bathroom and took more deep breaths. I also checked my hair and my complexion to make sure I didn't look sick from this stress. We exited the plane, and I gave him a big, tight 30-second hug because I felt sorry for him. You know, he took it well and told me that he was going to be okay. I made sure he had money for food and a hotel room. Jesus, going above and beyond. I was ready to shower and watch a movie in my already booked tropical smelling room. I don't need much to have a good time. I packed light as usual, and so I was able to enter a few stores before heading directly to my hotel room. Is that where Bembe's story ends? Now I want to know what happened to Bembe. I saw some casual, neat dresses and shoes that I liked very much. Of course, I purchased a pair of shoes and 2 dresses. That also made me smile. I took a taxi to my hotel room and couldn't wait to get my keys. As I entered the lobby, I saw a man that looked like Bembe. Ooh. So I kept walking, naturally. My plan was to have some relaxation time alone. Without noticing me, he was acting bothered again, so I stared at him for about 20 seconds before walking over to him to ask if he was okay. So from the flight to the hotel room, he's now popping up everywhere you are. Interesting. He said he was in disbelief about what happened today and was hoping to get to Florida by tomorrow night. Unfortunately for him, the planes were overbooked, so he was reluctant to ask for a room here out of disgust. I didn't want to feel worse, so I sat there talking to him about meeting him in school. I thought he was a strong, ferocious boy who might have lacked some social skills, but was still very charming, very easy on the eyes. He also came up with stories about our childhood and the things we did. We talked and laughed for about 45 minutes. Then I motioned for him to come to the front desk so we can check into our rooms. I told him, go ahead, as I saw a vending machine with mochais and I had to get one. I got the strawberry one and was psyched for this midnight snack. As I approached the front desk and was digging for my wallet to show my ID and debit card, I overheard the whole conversation between Bembe and the receptionist. Oh no, is there anything you can do for me? And the receptionist is saying, I'm sorry, I don't have anything available right now, and this is a holiday weekend. Bembe was so disappointed, and I understood how he felt. He accidentally got on the wrong plane, he couldn't get a flight to his preferred destination, and now he couldn't get a room. I see where this is going. He was walking with his head down toward the door, and he passed me unknowingly. My heart wouldn't let him go. All right. He was walking with his head down toward the door, and he passed me unknowingly. My heart wouldn't let him go into the wilderness in foreign country. I walked after him, asking him to wait. Wait. I understand your situation, and things aren't working out for you. Sometimes things fall apart to fall in place. I told him my room has separate beds, and you are welcome to one of them. I also let him know I was here to relax for a few days and finish planning a wedding. He hugged me so tight and thanked me sincerely. I couldn't move, but I said, you're welcome. Glad I can help, like I wasn't nearly suffocating. As we walked to the front desk, he carried my luggage and stood to the side. I was able to get my keys from the receptionist and walk to the room we're sharing without worrying about my possessions falling or being stolen. It was a nice feeling, even though it only lasted some minutes. We entered the room, and to my surprise, we had a loft with an upstairs. We were smiling ear to ear as we looked around. The living room was very spacious. The living room was very spacious with a deck outside that is viewable through the glass sliding doors. The kitchen was very moderate with an island and appliances, including a fridge, dishwasher, coffee maker, convection oven, etc. After examining the downstairs, we looked at each other for a second and then ran up the stairs. We were shocked and kept saying, wow, every few seconds. The two bedrooms were beautiful, and they had decorated with balloons and flower petals. I'm not sure why, but it was a beautiful sight. The beds were trundles, which means each bed had a bed under it that can be pulled out for sleeping. Both rooms had walk-in closets, a recliner, and a gorgeous view of the lake. The bathroom was located in between the two rooms and had an iRobot vacuum, hamper, iron board, washer, and dryer. We were both overjoyed, and I was relieved I didn't have to stay in such a big, beautiful place by myself. Interesting. So what happened? Is that crossing the line to ask what happened? Does this story continue? Does the plot thicken, Melody? What happened between you and Bembe? Was there sparks there? Or is this fiction? I'm assuming. I'm assuming that this is an anecdote and not a fictional memoir. You can correct me if I'm wrong. All right. Now, this is the end of the stream. We're going to wrap it up right about the 2-hour mark here. But before I go, I want to just do one more little short segment here. I told you guys before I was going to wrap up the show with a little bit of show and tell, if you will. Show and tell, like I said before, just kind of like a little, I wanted to start incorporating some other art forms into the live stream. And so if you do like illustrations, handmade crafts, share a picture. You could share a photo of whatever it is that you've made with me, or it could be a video. Tonight we have a video and a pic, and just take a look at it, check it out. But also, if you guys could share something interesting about it, that could I think that would kind of like spicing things up a little bit, add a little substance to this segment and as it continues to develop into the future. But first, let's check out. We have, and this comes from on YouTube. This is a hand carving a spoon from apple wood by Horace Bloodmoon via his YouTube. So let's check it out. I'll leave a link to the video. I'm not going to share the audio. It's just music. It's not like a how-to tutorial as much as it's just kind of like, just kind of showcasing his work. Hand carving a spoon from apple wood. The making of your spoon. So it's kind of a slideshow here. The basic spoon design. I'm getting I'm getting like, as I watch this, I can't help. I did review the video, and while watching this, I can't help but kind of get that like Wild West kind of vibes from it. Kind of put you on a place where it's the wild frontiers. You'd be lucky. You'd have one spoon to your name. You got to pack light when you're living in the Wild West, on the wild frontier, the untamed frontiers, if you will. You're lucky you'd have one spoon to your name. You survive out in the wilderness of the Wild West, traveling. It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months in between towns as you travel around. And you got to survive mostly on whatever the hell you can find. Perhaps some pemmican. And a lot of the time, it's whatever you could throw into a soup or a stew. Hence why you would want your own trusty spoon. And as you can see, this one, the design is starting to come together here. I don't know how he did that. He did not share any details. Pictorial process. He just said, This video is a pictorial account of the process. So he did, but he doesn't explain it. Just to show that he does put a little. Does look like he put a little something like a design at the end there, starting to. The spoon's coming together, and looks like he's starting to sand it out, smooth it out. He didn't explain the process though in the video, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming that this might be. Well, obviously it's hand carved, so it's like whittling. I guess there's really not a whole hell of a lot to talk about it. It's just kind of like whittling a spoon. Whenever you gonna finish that? Do you put a finish on that, or no? That's what I would like. That's what I would like to know. Look at that. It does look like you put a finish on it. Got a little design on the end there. I like that. I like the grip on there. So you imagine you're like. Back in the day, you have to have a trusty spoon. You got your own spoon. You got to pack light. Imagine. So you go to the shops. You're shopping. You'd be shopping for something like this. That'd be your job. You create spoons. You're a spoon maker. 3rd generation spoon maker. Okay. You got the guy. He goes in the shop. He's like, hey, what is that right there? That one right there. Ooh, that look good. Let me check that one out. That one in the back right there. Yeah. Is that apple wood? Ooh, boy. I tell you what, I like that twisted handle grip. You look at that. Ting. Shop owner. Sir. I'm afraid there's no chewing tobacco in the shop, sir. That spittoon is an item on display. My bad. Can you imagine that? You don't want to be the guy. You don't want to be the guy who goes out in the wild frontiers, maybe with a band of merry men. Could be 3, 4, 5 of you, perhaps. And you got to be the guy who asks a guy if you could borrow his spoon because you forgot yours all the way back in town. Now, that's a sad situation right there. You don't want to be the guy who's got to ask a guy to borrow his spoon after he's been slobbering and slurping all over it. God forbid he chews the tobacco. So now you got, not only are you borrowing another man's spoon, doesn't matter how much you try to wash that spoon off. He's chewing tobacco. He's got that tobacco juices all up infused inside the wood grain. You're going to smell that thing before it even touches your hand, before you even pick it up. That's disgusting. Juices and saliva. You want to hold on to your own spoon. Don't be that sucker who sticks his mouth where another man has had his mouth. In other words, you don't want to be that sucker. I'd be damned. I'll tell you that right now. I'd be learning how to whittle quick, fast, and in a hurry if my ass was in that predicament. I'll tell you that right now. I ain't going to be asking to borrow a man's spoon. Got one more. Let's check out this before we go. One more for a little show and tell. This is an illustration. This comes directly from the Discord, and this is some art. This is some art. Excuse me, let me get the name right here. Fairly new to the Discord. This is art by Darth Deal Alter. Just wanted to share this. Didn't share anything. So if you see this on the replay, go ahead, drop me a comment. Let me know, where's this character? What is this from? You just like drawing, sketching dragons. You just wanted to show me this. Looks pretty badass. Looks like it's almost like a mix, almost like a mix of creatures, like a chimera of sorts. Like it almost looks like the front is like paws. So almost looks like a lion, like lion paws in the front. It almost got that. The dragon itself looks like it almost has like that kind of oriental style to it. I like the wings. The wings look badass. I do see that there's like a castle or palace in the background. So I would like a little bit of backstory on this. If you have any lore, if there's any lore attached to this, you can let me know, and I'll gladly share that information. Looks pretty cool. Definitely look like you have some talent. And that's it for me this week, you guys. I hope you had some fun. I hope you discovered something new, and I'll be back here for you next week, same time, Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good week.